Ime, I know it's not one guy in a game like this, but what leads to a night like this for Jason, and how do you just try to shake him out of a funk when he gets in one this big?
Well, understanding how they're going to guard him. Just had a big game, game 2, and all they talked about was
Little things have kind of creeped back in here. I know it's not going to happen overnight, and sometimes you fall back into those, but what's the key to just shaking those on a night like this?
having carryover from what's been successful for us throughout the playoffs, throughout the second half of the season. And, we saw it in the Milwaukee series at times. We saw it in game 1 and game 2, the difference between, 10 turnovers in game 2 and what that can get us to. And so when you have, turn the ball over 24 times and gift them 33 points out of that, dig yourself a hole. Credit, we fought back and got it to a 1-point game. Then made some mistakes and some more turnovers, but you dig yourself in that big of a hole due to playing in the crowd. We understand how they're going to guard us. They do it all series. Every team does that. Wants to load up and you penetrate, over-penetrate, and get yourself in tough situations instead of relying on your teammates. That's the result sometimes.
Everyone around said that, the series might be over after the game 2 and you were the more talented team, all that stuff. That's not what you told them. You told them that this was going to be a difficult game. So what happened between the message you gave them and what happened on the court? What didn't translate?
It's hard to say because it wasn't just myself. It was the players speaking up as well. I mean, they said it in the media. They got embarrassed at their place. They were going to come out and up their physicality, and it's no different than what they did in the third quarter of game 1. And so, we didn't think that it's going to all of a sudden be an easy series and they were going to roll over. We bounced back from game 1 to 2, and they were going to do the same thing, and we had to match that and came out flat for whatever reason. But it wasn't just myself. It was Marcus and Jason and Jalen and Al all speaking up and shoot around, speaking up in the meetings, saying be prepared, knowing they're going to come out with the best hit, and for whatever reason, we didn't match that to start the game.
And in terms of the schematically, what didn't happen in terms of not the turnovers, but just other things, what didn't you do that you did in game 2?
Guarded with some physicality, or they increased theirs. We also talked about Adebayo, been struggling in the series. He's going to come out extra aggressive, put his head down. We didn't match it. We had been playing physical defense initially and kind of limiting him, obviously, but other guys as well. And for the most part, it felt like they were continually driving. We weren't getting rebounds, and so they out-hustled us 50-50 balls. But it was a concerted effort on their part to put their head down and try to be the more physical team, and they were on offense.
You made the third quarter in game 1, the first 20 minutes tonight. What would you say is the biggest commonality between why those stretches keep happening?
Turnovers that's one part of it, obviously. We had 8 in that quarter, 8 of 10 at halftime. We said let's clean that up, and we almost got our first half total in that quarter. And then defensively, not matching their physicality on offense. We turn it over. It's obviously tough to get some of those stops. And when we do defend well in the half court, so leaking out, getting some easy baskets, but also just their physicality went up. And obviously they spoke up about being embarrassed and wanted to come out and prove something tonight, and they did.
A follow-up on Marcus, just what he went through and any comments from him after the game of how he's holding up?
No, I don't know anything yet. He obviously came back and played. Looked like he rolled an ankle. And Jason got a stinger, but they both were able to continue and finish the game. So I'm assuming they'll be okay.
Lowry comes back immediately, is pushing in transition off of rebounds, and they just kind of kept running the entire night while you guys tried to keep up. What was it about the way that they were just persistent with their pressure and their speed that affected you guys?
Well, that's what he does. We talked about that before the game. That's the impact he has on the game. But when you give him, 24 turnovers, it's obviously a lot easier to get out and run. And he's ahead of the snake as far as that, pushing the pace and tempo. But we made it too easy on them in that regard. Obviously getting stops or scoring the basketball, they can't get out and run to that extent. But scoring 33 points on our 24 turnovers is hard to overcome.
You have Jalen kind of routinely, when you have these high turnover games, routinely over-penetrating. You have Jason, they're routinely jumping the passing lanes. Is there any thought of kind of like intervening just with the play calling to try and get the ball and try to get them the ball maybe on the catch rather than have them handle the ball?
Yeah, we've done both, use them as screeners and handlers. And at times when they load up on them, that much. We want to use them as decoys, and they've done a great job throughout the playoffs and most of the second half of the year of understanding and getting guys open looks. And so it's disappointing at times when we over-penetrate when we don't have to. A simple pass, the team loads up, and we've seen it all playoffs and how they can, others can be the recipients off of that. So, we took a step back as far as that, but at the same time, we obviously use them as screeners a lot of times, try to find them in the pocket and get them moving around a little bit differently. And they're still loading up on them. They have to obviously catch it, be tough with it in there, had quite a few turnovers on pocket passes, and then make the play from there.
Coach, your guys have responded with a win after every loss in this postseason. Will you use that as some of your messaging going into Game 4?
Yeah, I don't really talk about the bounce back as far as that. It's just what we are trying to do, what we did the second half of the season. And even in this game tonight, you can look at some positives, how we got, like I said, got it back to a one-point game and then kind of shot ourselves in the foot again, giving up a three-pointer and some late turnovers. But, it's 2 quarters that really stand out, 39-18 to start the game, 39-14 in Game 1. And you get yourself in that big of a hole and, fight your way back. It's always tough, but we have bounced back well, second half of the season, playoffs as well, and so we know we have to do it again at home.
And Coach, especially after a game like Bam Adebayo had tonight, I'm sure Rob would definitely have helped in that situation. Are you expecting to have him back for Game 4?
He's truly day-to-day, and we'll see how he responds to extra time off, but it's due to swelling and soreness, and it's likely to be like that the rest of the playoffs, and so that's one thing, but we've won series and games without Rob, so Adebayo kind of put his shoulder into whoever was guarding him, into their chest, and so Rob can't save the day as far as that. Guys have to, take ownership of that matchup and defend like we're capable of.
Ime, over here, do you have any concern? You mentioned the message that you gave to the team and that teammates gave to the team. Do you have any concern now when you look that there's a pattern of your team having a difficult time handling prosperity and coming back with the same edge after a really good game or a really good performance?
No, I wouldn't say it's, we talked about not being content with or complacent with where we're at and getting a win on the road. So I don't think it's as much as that. It's, more so a little unusual being caught off guard with physicality. It's not like they changed much schematically. They just upped their pressure, upped their aggressiveness on both ends, and we didn't match it. And so I don't think it's due to our success or us getting the road win. We had success, obviously, in the Brooklyn series and in Milwaukee on the road and did well. So it's more so just matching that physicality because that's what they've done in two quarters that really stand out.
Two things quick, Ime. Why did you start the game with Daniel, and then why did you go with Grant to start the third quarter?
Daniel, we talked about our size and keeping Al and the others in their role with the coverage that we want to, employ to start the game, and that's, keeping Daniel off ball more so and keeping him in Rob's role allows Al to do what he does instead of flipping him and Grant. We liked, obviously, the scoring aspect, and we obviously got off to a poor start, so we flipped that to start the third quarter and paired Daniel with, who was it? Dedmon going forward in the second half. So didn't love the look at the start tonight, and we'll figure out what we're doing if Rob's not available.
And you talked all year about physicality being something you want this team to play with. Is it disappointing to you that as you go into the series knowing how physical Miami plays that you're not able to match that so far?
Yeah, I mean, we have at times, and, like I said, 2 quarters really stand out. But obviously we had a 25-point win as well, so we were good in that regard the other night. It's just that's a big part of who we are, and we've kind of, fallen off as far as that in certain aspects in this series so far, and got to come back and match that. That can't be the reason we lose a series. That's obviously an identity we want to have on our side, and to come out and kind of get bullied around a little bit is disappointing for sure. Thank you.